This is stage 2 of the HOT system. And again, once again, we're joined by multi-billion-dollar producer, multi-million-dollar earner, Curtis Broom. He and his partner, Lisa, are so widely recognized in the industry, top earners with our company. And then we've got Hugo coming in from Lake Bled. We've got the guys coming in from Cellier. I'm also calling in from Europe. So what I'm going to do now, Curtis, is not talk and just listen and turn it over to you, brother.
Great, brother. Appreciate it, JC. And Hugo, thanks for joining us. And guys, it's been an interesting, well, I don't know, Andras, guys, has it been an interesting few days, yes or no?
Most interesting few days in our lives, definitely.
Well, let me do this. Because I want us to dig in, because we've got then getting ready for second stage. I'd like to ask you some questions which will also give a feel of what's been going on for those who will be watching this as you share this with others as they watch this experience, this reality experience, if you will. When we had a chance to speak in section 2, you know, the quick training 2 and the assignment of a task, we talked about where you were at that point, that as a group, you guys working, you know, individually or together, you had collectively, after about maybe 45 hours, the first 45 hours from Friday evening to Sunday evening, had moved collectively about 35 boxes, had you know, commitments for the movement about 35 boxes, and we basically threw out the thought process, you know, no matter how hard you think you, let's go for the most intense effort you ever could imagine being able to put forth. And it was something that if you've ever watched any of the replays from GoPro Recruiting Mastery by Eric Worre and Network Marketing Pro last fall, Holton Buggs, who's a great friend of Lisa and mine, in fact, he even credits Lisa with having really turned his career, you know, 12, 15 years ago when he had a chance to spend some one-on-one time with her. But he's currently today the #1 income earner in the world. And at one point, now I may not get the quote exact, but I'll be pretty close to the ballpark. You know, it said, what if he, looking back, what's the one thing he wished he could do differently? And that was basically to believe bigger, faster. In other words, no matter what he thought, if he would have expanded that thought sooner, then he could have gotten to where he is sooner. In other words, compressed more time. And so we put out that challenge to you. No matter how hard you think you've gone, get creative, think outside the box, you know, incorporate assistance from every direction you can, because the objective is to try and maximize. And my understanding is that where you stand now after the next 18 hours of effort by the noon cutoff, so 45 hours, you got 35 boxes. In 18 hours, you're now up to 50 boxes total that people have said, I'll send you the money, now you send me the box. And you've got close to like 30 or 35 people, almost 85 or 90 grand total, but 30 or 35 said, if you get me the box, I'll pay you when you get me the box. So you do have a little bit of juggling, but I know JC just got here, it's you know, evening time there, and he just got finished driving you boxes, because that's what we do. We do what it takes to make it work. So you've in essence almost tripled, well, you've almost tripled the production in 1/3 the time. Or you did twice as much, almost twice as much in 1/3 the time. So that's almost a 5 to 6 times greater result. And here's the interesting part. We all realize that just naturally the first groups you go to are always the easiest, simplest, low-hanging fruit. So #1, this wasn't your first day. So you didn't have a completely fresh list. You'd already talked to a lot of people. #2, when you did the first 45 hours, you went after the simplest 35, because everybody does. It's the smartest thing to do. You know, you know, the bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush, so let's go get the birds in hand. But all of a sudden, when you're given a different mindset and a different challenge to go for, you know, greatness, not just be really good, but go great, you were able to, with the less easy folks, in a shorter time window, because the desire was focused on something and the stretch beyond you to run, you were able to accomplish literally almost 4 to 5 times the amount of money or the amount of result. How did that feel as you were going through it? And now that you've reached this point, how do you feel about that now?
It feels amazing. I mean, we didn't imagine we could do that before. Definitely, at least I didn't. And seeing that we basically, as you said, we've contacted most of our people. I don't know. I made a pitch a year ago and sent it to all of my friends. So I was basically contacting people that I have already pitched before. So I basically ruined my first contact Same thing goes for Jacob and Matisse here. We had a lot of people that had some previous experience with us that we didn't know how to do, you know, like this, like you have taught us now. So I don't know. The result is amazing. With just a little effort in the right direction, with a little thought process going in our minds, changing some of the thoughts. It's amazing.
Well, let me tell you why that's special. Literally, you just described, it's a year later, most people would use it as an excuse. I don't have anybody left to talk to. I've already talked to them. They already turned something down. You know, I can't do that. That won't work. It feels too uncomfortable. And yet, what we're really saying is all we did was give you a different mental perspective. And that's all it really is. Here's why JC and I were talking about earlier. Here's why we're so proud. As of right now, for the rest of your career in this profession, you guys are bulletproof. Because no matter what anybody else says, you know that maybe they can't do it, maybe their mindset won't allow them to go places, maybe their perspective won't allow them to accomplish something, but you know that it's all about just choice and mindset. So first of all, congratulations. I also know that we gave you a task in the last one, in the brief one we did, part 2, where we just said, go out and practice conversation. And I loved your answer. We haven't had a chance to do it yet because we were so aggressively going for maximum production. The ones that we'd set up, we had to move them till tomorrow. So I'm good with that. You know, the old saying, the bird in hand is always better than two in the bush. So I'm good with that. So here's the thing. I'd still like you guys, as you go into phase 2, this is going to be a 14-day phase. And so we're going to run this again from tomorrow, or starting this evening. I don't care when you're done, until we'll finish on Monday at noon 2 weeks from now. So let's see, that's would be the 17th or 18th, the 18th. So we're going to run this until Monday at noon on the 18th, so that if nothing else, as you get people on the weekend, you can blast through that morning and see what you can do. As we go through phase 2, what I'd like you to do, though, is see if you can make sure you set those appointments this week. By Wednesday or Thursday this week, each of you do one with just the exercise of seeing how long you can have a conversation that stays focused on the other person, not you. It will be that second part of making you absolutely bulletproof, because the two things we do is we move product to people, because the business of network marketing is about building a global consumer network, a network of consumers. I didn't say customers, I said consumers. Everybody here, myself included, partner Lisa, JC, Hugo, all you guys, we are all product consumers. Now, we may have a designation in a computer that says distributor also, but we all consume a month's supply of the various products that we use with BHIP every single month. What you've just done is you've exposed an additional 90 people who are now, over the next 30 days, as soon as you get that product in their hand, they are consumers. Their experience with the product may turn, it won't turn everyone. There is no consumer product on the planet that 100, now we think so, we're biased. We think everybody has to and should be using these products every month. And that may be even correct. It may be beneficial for them, but nobody's going to use these. In no situation is everybody going to use these products. What you're looking for are those who see what you see and believe what you believe, and we're going to leave that to the product. So these 80, 90 people, once you've gotten it in their hands and collected those funds, they're now consumers. They just don't have a distributor notation. Some of them later may choose to become a distributor with you because of your success. You know what? They're still a consumer. So you guys have already met the first principle. You're expanding your consumer network. Now what you're looking to do is you're looking to truly expand your team. And here's kind of where it starts. When you look at teams and team building, because if you wish to go on, if you just want to make a small income, and by the way, it's about your decision, not others. Let others choose where their path is. But if your path is to build a larger, more significant income, then you'd have to build a team. And the larger your goal of what you wish to achieve, the larger your team has to be. You can't make that kind of income by yourself. You build teams, help others succeed, and that's how you get there. Where people make the mistake is if they want to build large, significant incomes, that means you need a large, significant team. Therefore, that means there need to be a lot of people on the team. And not just you can lead them, you have to develop leadership within the team. But you need a large team, so you need a lot of people. So people think they're in the business of getting a lot of people. Well, you're not in the business of getting anyone. You're in the business of sharing this possibility with everyone, letting them choose. But it's not about getting people, it's about building a team of the right people. Does that make sense? It's not just about having a team of people and attracting people. It's about attracting the right people. Here's the challenge. You personally cannot attract the right person. Now, I know that may sound a little confusing, because I just said if you wish to make a lot of money, you're going to need a big team. Have a big team, that's a lot of people. You're not in the business of a lot of people. You're in the business of a lot of the right people, and yet you can't get the right person. So I know that may sound a little awkward, but this was a lesson I learned from a mentor's conversation years ago. The right person is the person who long after they have joined your team. Not when they chose to join the team. You have no idea. They could come from a background of massive success in a previous network marketing program. They could come from a background of massive success as a financial planner or a doctor or a university professor, or they could come from a background that is as diverse as having never been entrepreneurial, just being a stay-at-home mother, but has decided want to enter that world. No matter what it is, you have no idea when someone chooses to join you in this process and become a member of the team if they are or are not the right person. The right person is the person who long after they have joined your team has proven by consistent, correct, and proper action and effort over a consistent, extended period of time that they truly are the right person. You're not in the business of finding the right people. You're in the business of finding the potentially right person. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Because they have to be potentially the right person before they can ever become the right person. The way you determine if someone is potentially the right person is not by the information you give. That's why if you want to do high-speed prospecting properly, you are not the information giver. The only way you can determine if someone is potentially the right person is by the questions you ask and listening very carefully to the answers that they give. And that's why we started with 3 questions. So now I'm going to go back to the board, and I'm going to show you how you take this hot market experience and this story of success. In fact, my understanding is that Jacob, you individually moved an entire, just in these last couple of days, over this process, you moved individually an entire Pro Pack. So congratulations, job well done. As a group, you guys have torn it up. Yeah, exactly. JC's out there in your applause section. Now let me draw the picture and put it all together for you, okay? So we're not looking for the right people because we have no idea who they are. We're looking for the potentially right people. The way you do that, if you'll remember, here's where prospecting begins. Here's where you've accomplished the completion of the most important stage. That's moving stage 2. This is where someone says yes, they wish to join your team, they've enrolled. They've created that initial expense, though it's not really an expense, because with the HOT system, we are going to teach them how, in 24 to 72 hours, just as you guys have done, you're going to teach them how to not sell, but to move the product, because they just turned capital into product. We're just going to have them turn it back into capital. That's the HOT system. They took capital, exchanged it for asset product, turned it back into capital. 24 to 72 hours. Right here at that moment, they've reached stage 2 of a business development. Stage 1 is incurring the initial expense to procure product. Stage 2 is to get to break even, because now the business is permanently and forever sustainable if it's always in a break even position. And that creates the most powerful thing that they need for long-term success. That is their personal story of success. So in 24 to 72 hours, a brand new person who's never done this before has the most important asset they need for the rest of their business career in network marketing and a personal story of success. Because as we said, in network marketing, it is not about selling. If you are selling, you are doing the wrong thing, and ultimately you will fail because it is not duplicable. You can't duplicate it around the world, because very few are truly capable of selling. But everyone is capable of giving other people a choice and letting them choose. You do that, again, by not being interesting. That's when you think you have to present the information. And the reality is this. Even if you were capable of presenting the information wonderfully, the problem is you will never be able to present it the way I do or the way JC does or the way Hugo does, because we're all different. And we will never be able to present it the way you do. Therefore, that's not duplication. Duplication is when everybody can do the exact same thing. Here's what everybody can do. instead of being interesting, as we'd said, they can be interested, because it's not, oops, interested with a D, because it's not about me, it's about them. It's about the other person. So I need to be interested in the other person. I do that by not doing a presentation, but having a conversation with them about them. The only way you can find out if they are potentially the right person is to ask questions. You can only do that if you're having a conversation, not a presentation, and then listening to the answer. And as we said, there are 3 questions that will help you identify if they're possibly the right person. And those 3 questions done properly in a prospecting conversation are you happy? Meaning, are you satisfied and content? Do you have everything in life that you're looking for? Do you believe that you are receiving right now everything in life that you and those you love and care about the most deserve? And the answer is, even the wealthiest people in the world would say no, because what they're still seeking is greater significance, a legacy of being significant in the impact they've made positively on the world long after they're gone. 2, do you have a plan to achieve all those things that you have not yet achieved that you would like to achieve? And the reality is 99% of the people in the world don't have that plan. 3, would you like to see one? Not would you like to do it, not would you like to let me sell you on it. I'm not going to convince you and twist your arm and pitch you and coerce you or influence you or manipulate you. I'm just going to say, do you want to see one? I'm just going to ask the question, would you like to see a plan? And as we've said, and I'll repeat it here, the masterful, immediate follow-up to say, well, would you like to see a plan? And this is what Lisa has, I think it's the best lead-in after this question that's ever been given, because it creates comfort and it creates respect for them. And here's what Lisa always says, would you like to see a plan that might help you get everything you've ever wanted? Now, look, it's probably not for you. That's the first thing that takes a little bit of pressure off. It's probably not for you, Hugo. You'll love the product. I'm sure you'll love the product. Everybody does. So it's probably not for you, the plan. I'm sure you'll love the product. Everybody does. Why? That plants in their mind subliminally, oh, everybody loves this product. Gee, I guess if I don't love the product, I would be unusual, without having to say that. So would you like to see a plan? It's probably not for you. But I'm sure you'll love the product. Everybody does. But just in case, when you see this plan, it does, attract you. Or if you see what I saw, I think that together we could do some amazing things and be really successful together, but I'll leave that decision to you. So what's happened is you've given them the choice. They can either say, no, I don't want to see it, or yes, I do. Because what's the first step of anyone who might potentially be the right person? They at least look. And let me tell you why this is important. The most successful people in the world are generally successful the way they are because they're willing to look at everything. They do very few things because only a small percentage of people, if they see this plan, really should do it. That's why it's appropriate to say it's probably not for you, because the odds are it's not for them. The majority of people, this is not the best plan for them. But they don't have any other plan, so you may as well look at it. So at least you have something to check off as the not the right plan for me, but go find the right plan for you, because you deserve great things in life. And if you don't have them yet and don't have a plan, look at this one. If it's for you, great. If not, great, but then go find one. So at least you'll have some exposure to a plan. We just want to give them the choice, because you already know that you are armed with great strength, because they say, sure, I'll take a look, because let me tell you what happened to me when I started in this plan in just my first 24 to 72 hours. That's the power of the HOT system. What you just shared with everyone over these last couple of days, or as we've talked about this, what you shared with people is if they're brand new, they're in a better position than you were when you started this. You've been doing this for a year. You had blasted information and talked to everybody that you felt was probably that hot market. You had to go back to those people. And then after 2 days of effort, thinking you had been putting in maximum effort, we just simply laid out a different mental perspective. And in 18 hours, you crushed the first set of numbers. Well, imagine if someone starts this way. Imagine if you had started this way a year ago. So what you're saying is, well, then great, if you want to see it, let me share with you what happened to me. What that is that's preparing their mind to open up because you've already said it's probably not for you. No pressure. I'll let you make the choice. That's okay, but let me tell you what happened to me. Because what's happening in their head is everybody's saying, well, holy cow, I'd like to be able to do that. I mean, you're telling me I can start a business and I can move, $800, $1,000 worth of product in a couple of days? Wow, okay. Somebody's trying to call through. Wow, I'm all over that. Okay, great, no problem. Yeah, let me try that. So that's where you then do the typical. If I do something, will you do something? And what it is, it's that first information exposure. If I direct you to a website, will you take a look at it and go through it? If I send you a link to a video, will you watch it? If I hand you this DVD, will you look at it? In other words, just all you're doing is introducing them, because they've already said sure, they'll take a look at the plan. Whatever the first step is, of course they're going to say sure, particularly after you told them what you accomplished. And what you've done is you've moved them into what we call the information circle. This information circle is where they start gathering the information that you don't give them. You are not the website. You don't read the website to them. You give them the link to the website. You're not the video. You give them a link. You're not the DVD. You hand them the DVD. When you are prospecting someone, whether you're brand new or you're a $1 million earner, if you prospect them and they say sure, they'll take a look, you tell them your quick hot market story, and you do not share the information. You point or guide or direct them to the information. Why? That is perfectly duplicable by everybody on the team. None of us can present the product or the comp plan the same way. We just can't. So that's not. Now, what you could do is you could point all of them to a video and then introduce all of them to Hugo. That's duplicable. You could point them to a video, introduce all of them to JC. That's duplicable. You can point them at the video or the website, have them all go to the Tuesday night meeting where somebody else does the presentation. That is duplicable because they can point everyone to the same website or the same video and introduce them to Hugo or JC or whatever. So that's what I mean. You, even if you're a $1 million earner, don't give the information. If you prospect, you don't inform. You let the system inform. Why? You'll get perfect duplication, and now you can start looking at your results, and you adjust to get better ones. But here's what happens. During information, they're all going to be different. Some people see the first video and go, oh, they've heard your story, see the first video, they go, oh, I'm excited, let me do this right now. Some people are going to take a long time. They're more skeptical. They need more information. They have more questions. Well, the thing about the questions they have as they're evaluating, that's not your job. That's the team's job. That's the information system's job. Now, if somebody else has a prospect who's going through the information circle, as you get better and better, you can be a part of the system for their prospect. They could be a part of this system for your prospect, but you aren't the person being the expert. And why is that? Because a brand new person can never be an expert. They have not been here long enough. And we have to do things that help them succeed. So as they go through the information circle, they've got questions. You let the team mates, you let the team coaches, you let the three-way calls with your leadership, you let the meetings, you let the trainings, you let everything else answer those questions for them, not you. You just direct them to people or things that will get them the answer. When it's finally said and done, it's time for them to make a decision because they've seen all the information and got all their questions answered. So, Hugo, now that you've seen all of this, do you see any reason not to just join the team and get started so we can move you towards your success? He has two choices. Say, no, I see no reason. I've got all the information, all my questions. Great, then let's get going. Or he can say, yes, I do have one last reason why I don't want to get it. Why? It's not for me. I personally understand it all. Thank you so much. You got all this stuff. And I just decided it's not for me. And that's about 70 to 80%, 7 to 8 out of 10. You know what's happened? During this information, they've evaluated the product. So many of them will become your consumers and long-term your customers if they like the product. Not all of them. In fact, probably most of them won't, but a few of them might. That's great for you. But some of them will say yes, probably 2 to 3 out of 10. That's your numbers. That's who you are. And here's the magic. If they go through this the right way, when they say, yes, this is for me, it's because they understand it. And when they say yes, now you take them through the hot market system. Hugo doesn't do that. JC doesn't do that. In fact, quite frankly, they haven't done this as well as you have yet. They're going to start testing themselves, but we let you be the test and the trial, because if we let top leadership be the first experiment, everybody says, well, okay, well, that's just because it's them. No, it's not. It's some young guys who are new, brand new in the profession. They're trying to figure out a way to get to the next level of performance, and you guys even had a greater handicap than a brand new first day person. You'd already gone through all these people, not had the results you want, and look at the results you've gotten in 3 days. You have crushed it. What it proves is that now, will Hugo and JC go back and do some texting? Sure, because that's what leaders do. They're going to do what you've done so they can prove that it works no matter who you are. At the top of the game, just getting started, everywhere in between. Now you guys teach the hot market system. You don't teach all the information, you let the system do that. And then when they engage the same way you've done, because you know how to guide them and how to assist them, you just did it. You guys are right now, 3 days later, perfect hot market experts. You know how to text, you know how to call, you know how to go out and get other people to help you do it because you're trying to achieve an objective. You have the most perfect mindset of anybody right now at this instant, BHIP Europe, and as part of this team. Now, the goal is to take this information over the next couple of weeks. We're going to let the rest of the team join you, and then very quickly the entire team will have the expertise you do. Right now, you guys are the lead experts. So that's why we're so proud of you. You've just done a killer job these last 3 days. And then you take that new person and take them through the same process. Now, let me do this, and then we're going to talk about exactly how you're going to go out and execute stage 2. Now that you see the entire picture from story back to prospecting, now that you have the right understanding, it's not about selling, it's about respecting people and giving them a choice, it's about being interested in them, having a conversation with them, and that's where that conversation practice is going to make you powerful. During the conversation, by the way, you don't just ask 3 questions. As you're having a conversation with your buddy Hugo, you don't just, hey, dude, by the way, I got 3 questions for you. I'm taking a survey. Let me check them off. That's not what happens. During the conversation, caring about them, part of the process is you're able to work in the theme of, somebody asked me a question a few months back, and it really caught me by surprise. Let me just ask you a question. They asked me if I had everything in life, if I was really feeling good about life, if things were going the way I wanted them to go, and I started to say, yeah, and then I stopped for a second, and I realized, no, it really isn't going where I wanted. I really wasn't where I wanted to be. And have you ever felt like that? I mean, there's a lot of ways to work it into the conversation without just coming out and asking. So you work into the conversation and you find out from them if they're where they want to be. You find out if they feel good that their job or their current thing, whatever it is they're doing, is getting them there. And they'll let you know it's not. Say, well, the most amazing things happened to me over the last 6 months. Well, would you like to see a plan? Now, it probably won't be for you. I mean, I think you'll love the products. Everybody does. I mean, the products have been amazing for me. But just in case, it might be something of interest because it's working really well for me. We're loving it. Would you at least want to give me an hour and take a look just to see what you think? In fact, let me tell you what happened to me in my first 24, 72 hours. Boom. They say, sure, they'll take a look. That's the process of the conversation. Here's what happens. Let's pretend, again, that you were prospected properly. Let's take a look at Jacob. Let's take a look at Andraz. And Jacob, let's use you. In this last 72-hour period, you've moved an entire ProPack product. Did you find it really unbelievably complicated and hard and painful? Yes or no?
No. Not at all.
When you went, now be honest, when you first started, you may have had excitement, but were you wondering whether or not you might be able, and maybe not real sure as to whether or not you might be able to move a whole ProPack in just a couple of days?
No. I mean,
I bet he wasn't sure he could do that.
yeah, I wasn't.
But you also, once you started, you found out it wasn't hard, it wasn't complicated, and it wasn't painful, right?
It was actually
Curtis, when I dropped the product up there and we were talking for a minute, and I said, that's fantastic. I said, what do you think about that? And you know what Jacob said? He said, I'm very proud of myself. So it was.
You should be, and let me tell you why. You can now share with people and coach them in the most important thing ever. Don't forget my name. Yeah, so, and the most important thing ever, and here's what it is. Everyone thinks like that. It is a natural human behavior that when we go to do something we've never done before, there is always an element of uncertainty or fear or apprehension or hesitation because we just haven't done it. And fear is what we like to call an acronym for false evidence appearing real. It is not reality. It's only real in our mind, and it's not real. In fact, Robert Hollis, who is a multi-million-dollar earner in our profession, he was also one of the coaches at GoPro Recruiting Mastery last year. He will be again this year, probably along with Holton and a bunch of us. Robert Hollis stood in front of 3,000 people or 4,000 people who were at the event last year, and there was another, 3,000 or 4,000, 2,000 or 3,000 on live stream. And he said, if what you absolutely, with complete certainty to believe to be true is in fact not true, when would you want to know?
Right now.
Again, if what you absolutely with certainty believe in your mind is true, but in fact it is not true, when would you want to know? And some people, interestingly, said right away, and others said, I'm not sure I want to know. Or some people say, I want to be corrected. Others said, I don't know, maybe that would be too painful. Maybe I just prefer to believe the falseness. Here's the reality. The power of what you guys have gone through is you can now truly lead. Because you know that you felt uncertain, you weren't positive, you weren't perfectly sure it was going to work, and now you know it'll work, and you know everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. I will tell you, that doesn't mean everybody will do it. In fact, the reality is not everybody will do it, but everybody can do it if they will just break through that discomfort and make it happen. That's why not only should you be proud of yourself, we are all proud of you, and here's why. Andraz, if you understand this, then Jacob, if this had been where it started, the second you as the prospect had gone through the conversation, said, sure, I'll take a look, Andraz shares his story, he pointed you at information, got out of the way, let the leadership and the information circle take over. Any questions you had, the leadership and information circle took care of it, not Andraz. And when you came out, you had a choice. No, it's not for me. Yes, it is for me. You said sure, and if right then, immediately, a year ago, you had done the same thing, which obviously you know you could have. If you'd only known, and that's okay, we all learn things at different times in our life, but you know you could have done that same 72 hours anytime, then here's what would happen. Jacob, when you are right here at that end of the 72 hours, when you have moved that pro pack, or if you started with an executive pack, when you've moved that executive pack, whatever it is that you had accomplished, at that instant right there, if you went through the prospecting to the conclusion of hot market properly, at this instant right here, you are perfectly trained to be a six-figure earner. Now, it will take, to become a seven-figure earner, that million-dollar earner, that will take years of additional skills and precision and expertise and competence at additional skills. But you won't have to work at getting them. They will naturally, organically happen. It won't be hard work. Well, let me take it back. It won't be complicated work. It is always hard work to achieve great things. It is not easy, ever, to achieve great things. But it is simple. It is not complicated. This system is very simple. And right now, all you guys, you may not realize, the problem is you're just not consciously aware of it necessarily. And if your prospecting didn't start this way, then now you're about to experience it at the same time you're preparing people for it. But had this all gone this way, and here's why. You could tell any new person right here, once they completed the hot market system, they've been in the profession, they've been in BHIP for 3 days, and they're a perfectly trained six-figure, $10,000 a month, up to 50, six-figure to high six-figure, they're a perfectly trained six-figure earner. Why? At this instant right here, JC and Hugo, if Andraz was brand new as well and had just taken you through the process, JC and Hugo could sit down with you, Jacob, and say, Jacob, you're a six-figure trained earner. You're just not consciously aware of it. So let's go back to where this all began. Jacob, do you remember when Andras first called you up? Just to first talk, you guys first started having conversations that led you here. Do you remember that first conversation? Sure. Well, do you remember that during the conversation, Andras really focused exclusively on you? He just talked to you about you. What's going on in your life? What's happening? Where are you? Were you content with where you were? Did you have a plan to achieve all those things you hadn't yet achieved? And then he just asked you if you might be interested in seeing a plan. Do you remember he pointed out to you it probably wouldn't have any interest to you, though you probably like the products, but you remember he just asked you if you'd like to make a choice and have the opportunity to choose whether or not to see a plan, and he would leave the decision up to you? And you go, yeah, I remember that. Well, you know, Jacob, do you believe that you could just call people, care enough about them, that you don't have any hidden agenda, you're not trying to manipulate them, you really don't care if they choose to become a part of the team or not, you only care that they have a choice, and could you have a conversation with them about where they are and what they're doing, and would they at least be willing to take a look at a plan? Sure, great. And then you remember when you said you'd be willing to look at the plan, you remember when Andras told you his story of what he did in that first 24 to 72 hour period? Yeah, I do. Remember how he told you, what he was able to accomplish just via text and a few phone calls? And remember how that opened up your mind and it kind of caught your attention because you've known Andras a long time and you never thought that he had something like this in him. I mean, he's never done anything like this before. You never figured that you never thought Andras could do anything like that. And then he told you, remember how that kind of caught your attention and opened your mind? Well, since you've just done the same thing he did, if anybody says after the conversation that they'd be willing to look at it, would you be willing just to tell them what you did in 72 hours? Well, sure, of course. Great. And then you remember Andras just asked you a simple question. He asked if he would point you at some information, would you take a look at it? And that was the first step, and you said sure. And remember how he just pointed you at the website or the DVD or the video or the meeting or the Super Saturday training or the whatever it was? Yeah. Remember how you went, they kept you in the information, you had questions. Remember how Andras didn't answer any of the questions and he didn't give any of the information. He turned you over to the team and all the team experts and the team systems and the team processes. As you got more information, you had more questions, you got all your questions answered. And then remember, they just asked you a simple question. Based on everything you've seen and now you've got all your questions answered, do you see any reason why you wouldn't want to get started? How about, you want to join the team? Yes or no? And you said yes. Well, Jacob, you're actually a special person because only about 20 to 30% of the people say yes. That's why he told you this isn't the right plan for most people. 70 to 80% don't say that, but you did say yes. And then you remember that Hugo and JC, they stepped out, and Andras just took you by the hand and he walked you through the last 3 days exactly what to do. Make sense? Well, brother, you are perfectly trained because here's all we want you to do. We now want you to make out your list, and this is what we're going to consider your living list. We're going to have you complete a $1 million project, and it's only going to take you about 24 hours. But this is what leads to $1 million earning. What we're going to do is we're going to have you complete a list of every single human being on the planet that if somebody walked up to them and say, hey, do you know this young guy Jacob? They'd say, yeah, I think I do. Everybody in your phone who wasn't on your hot list, because they probably got your number in their phone if you have their number in your phone, and every single person who you didn't contact, you think about everybody they might know. Most people can generally, by the age of 18 to 20, write down a list of at least 150 to 200 names. Some can write a list as long as 300 to 350. Let's get at least 100 names down. Why? Because in this plan, if you have 2, you have set a foundation. And so here's how it works. What we're going to do is we're going to show you guys what we want you to do. There is a list that I want you to create, and I want you to write it. I don't want you to have it in your phone. Here's why. It has been actually shown scientifically that there is a psychological impact of opening a book. In fact, instead of this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab a spiral bound. I want you to grab a spiral notebook. Why? Because it all sits here. You will never get through this list, ever. You make the right list, you'll never move all the way through it. Your business will explode too rapidly. The reason I want it written down, here's what it's been shown. Psychologically, when we hear, we retain a certain amount. When we write, retain more. Say, well, why don't I just type it? Well, the problem is it's been shown there is an actual difference in the human mind between, unless you are one of those rare few, the 1 or 2% who can type so fast and so fluidly their fingers move without their mind thinking. For most people, they're typing like this. That doesn't work. They're concentrating more on hitting the letter than on free flow thinking. It's been shown that if you will free flow think and start handwriting, as you write a name, that will sometimes trigger the 4 other people. I write down someone from high school, all of a sudden it triggers 5 other people who I used to hang out with in that group that hadn't first come to my mind. So writing will actually start triggering. As you start to write and it starts to trigger, it's easy. It's very simple anyway to get at least 100 names, 100, 150 names. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create 6 columns. And what we're going to do is we're going to rate them by certain attributes, okay? We're going to rate them by, are they outgoing? Are they a people person? Have you or have you not spoken to them before? Are they the kind of person that is, they've been success-minded? In fact, what I'm going to do is there's actually a formal training, and I'm going to send to JC right after this. I'm going to send him the actual 6 items that you jot down. And what you do is you make the list of names. Then you're going to go through the list 1 column at a time. Don't take one name and give them all 6 stars of rating. Take all the names and do 1 column, because you get into the have I or have I not spoken to them about this opportunity before. It's okay if you have, by the way. Put down all the names of everybody you know who are not in your business. But you go down, can they afford it? Are they, knowing that, by the way, they can start with the partner pack. The action of hot market can cause them to move a pro pack. They then just go do the upgrade and get it done. Meaning, can they at least join in the most minimum way? Can they at least do that? Can they afford that? So what you do is you go through all of these exactly that way. Are they a people person? Do they like people? You then rate them all. And what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at all those people who have 0 or 1 or 2 stars. And you're going to start with them. Why? Because at first, you suck. Pardon my French, at everything you do. We all are terrible at things at first, and we get better the more we do them. You don't need any of these people with 0 or 1 stars to do this with you. You need somebody to be the guinea pig. You need practice. You want to know how you're going to get great at conversation? Have a lot of them. You're going to get great at having conversations where you build into the conversation these 3 important themes. So you can get people who have finally heard the 3rd part. Would you at least like to look at one? Because if they won't even look, they're definitely not potentially the right person. Even if they look, it doesn't mean they're potentially the right person, but every potentially right person at least looks. And you've got to be able to have the conversation without stumbling and bumbling like a fumbling, bumbling, stumbling person. And how do you do that? Stumble and bumble and fumble through a lot of conversations till all of a sudden the conversation is smooth. That's when you start moving up to the people with 3 stars. Then you start moving up to the people with 4 stars, and all of a sudden, almost everybody's at least looking. Why? Because you've become good at having a conversation that doesn't threaten them. It feels positive. It builds a connection. It creates a relationship. People love when others respect them. You'll learn how to have conversations about people that shows them great respect, because you don't care if they join your business or not, because you know out of your list of 100 names, which every day as you're walking around, you keep this thing with you. This is your $1 million asset. You're just wandering, you're going out to lunch, you're going to the gym, because all of a sudden you see 3 people at the gym. Oh my gosh, I know them. I didn't even think of them. Boom, boom, boom. And then you see 5 more. You don't walk up and talk to them at the gym. They're working out. But you get them on the list. Just by living your life, your list keeps getting larger and larger. Well, you know what happens if you do this? Every single person who comes through your team does the same thing, because it's perfectly duplicable. So you create this list. You start with the 0s and 1s. Again, what I send JC, he'll get it to you immediately, and then you'll start creating your list. That's what you need to do tonight, guys. You need to start creating your list. You need to start building a massive list over the next 2 or 3 hours. You need to get 100 to 150 names of every human being. You need to list the multimillionaire friends of a cousin's friend that you heard about. You aren't going to go to the multimillionaire at first. Don't worry, put the name on the paper. There will come the day when you are so good, you will be glad you had them on the list because you are ready. Even though the odds of they saying yes is this small, that conversation with that multimillionaire is such a powerful educational benefit for you. It makes you even stronger. It makes you able to lead and guide others and motivate and coach them better. You put every human being, if you know someone who knows Warren Buffett, get Warren Buffett's name on your list because I know the person who can get me to him. So every single human being, including just the friend from school who's just struggling and trying to figure out what to do with life, every single human being. Because the zeros and ones are your practice, the twos and threes are as you get better and better. And here's why. If all you do is give people, if you give enough people an opportunity to look and then share your story, point them at this information, because here's the ultimate part that you cannot control. If you were to have conversations with people and have nothing to do with BHIP, if you had truly had conversations with people, the reality is that vastly over 90% of the people in the world, if they could get to a point of true honesty, they are not satisfied and content with where they are, and they're frustrated because they have no idea what to do to change it. That is the truth. 9 out of 10 people, no matter how you walked up to them or where you found them, you could close your eyes and throw darts, and if they didn't come punch you, bottom line, if a dart hits them, 9 out of 10, they are not happy, they're not satisfied and content. I don't care what their age is. 90% of them don't have a plan. You know why people aren't happy and content? You don't have to have achieved what you wish to achieve to feel great. You have to be moving towards it and know that you are. They're unhappy because they know they have no plan and they know they are not getting close to it at all. This plan probably isn't for them, but at the very least, it's better than no plan. I don't want you to do anything but look. When you understand that, if your list is large enough and all you're doing is saying, I don't care if you look or not, I just want to see if you will look because I'm looking for potentially right people. And if you're not going to look, you're definitely not on that list, so let's say the least amount, let me have one conversation, see if you'll look. Because here's the fact, guys, if enough look, enough will do. Period. How do more do? When you get better. When you have better conversations, they'll be in a better frame of mind coming in. How does that happen? Naturally. How fast are you willing to have conversations? The faster you have them, the better, faster you get good. The faster you get good, the faster your numbers improve. People are not numbers, but the business is a numbers game. So you just want to, like I said, you thought you'd done really good, and we proved to you you hadn't even begun to be good. Because when we really put the right perspective, you guys crushed it. In other words, you are always capable of so much more than you believe based on your current comfort level. When you break through the comfort level, expand. And so what this system means, if you will, for the rest of your life, you guys never have to do the hot system again yourself. You're done. For the rest of your life, you're done. You have the story of what you've accomplished. That story needs to be told. And it needs to be told to the people you've gotten great at having conversations with, just offering them the chance to make a choice. Most people are desperate. They don't know what to do. If somebody gave them a choice, they'd swallow it up. If they make the choice to look, there you go. Only 2 to 3 out of 10 who look will decide this is for them. Most shouldn't. So when people say no, great, you're on target. If nobody says yes, then we'll go back and we'll evaluate with the team what's going on. But it will happen. Why? Because you guys are all here. Obviously it works. Somebody took you through a system. And here's what happens. What happens is now you guys are telling your story to as many as you can to see who will look. The more people that you get looking, not deciding, just looking, naturally some will start to say yes because your success in your first 20, in these last 72 hours is a powerful thing. To show people that, look, what is their greatest fear? Their greatest fear that keeps them from starting is, will I be a complete failure and lose all my money? No, anybody can do this. Anybody can get their money back. It's their decision to share the story that moves them into profit. But if they have a great story, more people naturally move into profit because it's just fun now. So now as you do this, all you do for the rest of your career, you guys right there right now, the only thing you have to do for the rest of your life, have conversations where you care about other people. That's it. Conversation, caring about other people, asking if they'd like to look, sharing your story to prepare their minds so that when they see it, those who should say yes will, those who shouldn't say yes won't. When they do say yes, you coach them. Why? Because the minute they're done, now it is you and them. You and them. Building lists, having conversations, not selling, not pitching, not manipulating, not twisting. You and them are caring about people, having conversations. You and them are sharing stories of success. And and suddenly more people say yes. And then all of you walk them through it. Now you and yours and theirs are telling the story of what happens in the first 24 to 72 hours when you join this magical program, this amazing program with this incredible leadership and mentoring team called BHIP. And it just starts to cycle. That's it, guys. That's stage 2. But first, you had to have the story. You guys right now have the only thing you need to become black diamonds and beyond, or top elite ranks. In this program, you've got everything you need to go all the way to the top. There's nothing else you need. Now make the list. I'm going to send the information to JC. Rate that list by the 6 criteria. Make your list tonight. He'll get you the information later this evening. Then one at a time, one criteria at a time, rate them all. I want you to have a minimum of 100 names on the list. Eventually, I want you to get to 200 to 300. And then there you go. Duplicate that with the team. And we're going to go 14 days. So between tonight when you're started with the list and then tomorrow you're going to begin the process. Having appointments, whether it's over the phone, so you can set it via text. Hey, listen, I've started in a business, could really use your help. These are now the people, not Hot Market. I could really use your help. It's really simple. I'd really like to set a time to talk to you about it. When can we meet? Boom, and start communicating, setting appointments via phone. It's not about detailed information until you're with them or you've got a chance to interact with them. With the first appointment, set an appointment, make it an appointment, then be there at the appointment. Even if it's a phone appointment, set the appointment, make it be that. If it's face-to-face, set the appointment. Set the appointment. It establishes the right relationship, the right mindset. You're treating it seriously. You care about them. It's important that they understand. And you're doing it this way for them. It's for them. It's not for you. You've already made your decision. It's for them. And you want them in the right mindset, because them in the right mindset, this might be something that could change their life. That's too important. So make that list, and you're going to start powering through the list. When you meet with them, it's just about conversation. It's just about connection and relationship. 3 themes to see if they'd be willing just to look at it. It's probably not for you. I think you'll love the product. Everybody does. If it's not for you, that's fine. And if it is, I think together we could do great things, because when you meet the coaches who are helping me, I know that what I'm going to be able to accomplish is amazing, and I'd love to accomplish that with you. It's a simple, open conversation, and then let the process take hold. We're going to run this and see how many people, new people, you can prospect, get into the system, and get them through that, and how many people you can move into your teams. Realizing 2 weeks is a little itty-bitty, minuscule snapshot. But what you'll be able to accomplish in 2 weeks will prove to you what will happen in the next 2 months, what will happen in the next 2 years, and what will happen over my career as I build a team that always follows this process from beginning to end. So there you go, guys. That's the outline. That's the process. That's stage 2. Let me throw it back to JCU and Hugo if you got any thoughts, and then I'll get you guys the information, and we will get these guys moving on stage 2 starting tonight.
Fantastic, Curtis. I don't have anything to add to it, but I have a question for you.
Yep.
They have their group that did stage 1, but then beyond that, they've probably got another 10, 15, 20 people that are engaged in the business that could also engage in stage 1.
That's correct.
How would you have them get that next wave of people that are already in to do the exact same thing that they just did over the last 48 hours? What do you recommend they do?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, first of all, with regard to Hot Market, they're experts. If you'd like, what we can easily do, I have no problem if we'd like to do a live hangout with you guys, you and Hugo and these guys, if they want to put together some, and I can come in and we can all help support coach them. But they are right now capable and qualified. Because here's the process. The process of progress all the way through leadership. You do a step. In other words, on day 1 when you know nothing, I just enrolled and I just clicked submit. I don't know anything about anything. The sequential process is to be a top leadership person like JC, there are a lot of things that you know because you've done them. The purpose of this is in each step, The minute you complete a step, you are a step 1 professor and step 2 through 1,000 student. The minute you complete step 1 and 2, you're the step 1 and 2 professor and step 3 through 1,000 student. And it's that evolution. So we can kick this off however you'd like with them, and I'm more than happy to participate. Or let them start with these trainings, because these guys went through these live hangouts and then they began to execute. And so you can do it a combination of either way. But the key right now is, as they are the students beginning to execute stage 2, they are the professors of stage 1. And so they can start taking their people. Now, what I would say is probably with you and Hugo, taking them, because it's always about, you know, teach, do, review, teach, and teach, then off you go. So what we have now is we have a whole group here of professors of Hot Market, because they've done. So the key is, and the faster we get you guys into the mentoring role, the coaching role, the more powerful you suddenly realize, man, I can do this. It has nothing to do with age, it has to do with experience. I've experienced, I know exactly how to do Hot Market and to drive beyond my expectation, how to break through that wall. So I agree. What you've got on your team needs to be immediately moving into stage 1 throughout this week as you guys are moving into stage 2. Why? Because by the end of this week, you will have had a list. The information I'm going to send JC right now, you will have rated it. You will have begun contacting it for conversation. You will have begun prospecting. You'll begin moving through the process. As you're doing that, they're completing stage 1 by the end of this week. Now you can start bringing them into the process because they have had Hot Market success. And by the way, you push them through the Hot Market success. You know that everybody needs to expand their comfort zone. Now, it doesn't mean they have to move a whole Pro Pack, but if they've moved 8 or 10 boxes, they have an absolute understanding that it is possible. Have them keep going. It doesn't mean they have to wait till they. It's not like you can't prospect till you've moved 25. You can be in process, but they need to get that Hot Market experience of success first. They need that story. And here's what I've done. I've done X amount so far, and I'm still moving. It's awesome. So that's how I would proceed. Take those current team members and start moving them through stage 1, while now you're moving through stage 2. Okay? And so does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
It makes great sense. I think if they gather their team, and if that team has the opportunity to watch the exact training that you did for stage 1 Friday night, 5 o'clock, have them watch, say, look, this is what we watched. You're going to see exactly what we saw. This is what we accomplished over the next, 48 hours.
Yep.
And so you guys go out and accomplish it over 48, 72 hours, and then we'll show you stage 2, which is what we did on Monday night. I think that's perfect, duplicatable. We can't be calling you in.
No, I agree. I agree. Well, you actually do. By using these videos, you are. And then what we'll do is about halfway through, this time next week, 1 week in, we'll come back for section 4, which is the mid-process. In other words, we gave you from Friday till Monday at noon. We came back on Sunday evening, a little past the halfway point. Let's do that again. Okay, so we're starting today. We're going until Monday at noon, 2 weeks from now. Let's come in next Monday evening, and let's do a follow-up to right here to see where you guys are in stage 2. You can also be sharing with some of the examples of stage 1 success that your current team members are going through that they're having. And then we'll take you through the mid-stage 2 execution, the contest, if you will, what we're striving for. JC's got some great ideas. We're running those by Terry, and we'll in the next day or so we'll get back to you and we'll let you know that this 14-day trial of prospecting is going to be just as important for you guys as this heavy-duty run was at the Hot Market success. And so let's do that. Let's schedule right now. We'll be here at 8 o'clock on Monday a week from now, and what we'll do is we'll go through a mid-process, a mid-phase 2, 2-week trial. We'll go through the mid-trial review and evaluation and adjustment questions. Victories, successes, things that work really well, things that aren't working, some, where the challenges are, etc. We'll go through the adjustments so that you guys can drive really amazingly hard in that second week. Also know, in many cases, this phase 2, bringing somebody into your business is not an event. It is a process. Some people take longer. So understand that this first week, you'll have some people who will join your team, but don't go out and think you're going to have these massive numbers. It's about building that pipeline process of activity and people who are in process. Because now, whereas you kind of controlled the Hot Market, and it was your can I count on you influence in a relationship that'll act that. As you're going into prospecting, this is different. This is about putting massive numbers of people into a process and letting them choose as they come out the backside, not forcing that choice. Because if you force it, you've got people who are going to be gone as fast as they started, and they distracted you, versus they took time away, versus those who truly chose want to be there, who you could drive into high speed. So understand, don't expect the same level of result in this first week. Your results are really going to bear fruit starting that second week, but still, let's get that midway conversation and process. And then you guys will be in a flow that will carry you ongoing as then we start bringing your team through that whole process, so that after you've gotten through the midweek, then next week you'll be bringing your team as they'll start, based on their hot market successes, they'll start list making, list rating, list conversations, etc. And then we'll see where you are at the 2-week mark. And then what we'll do is we'll probably come back at the end of a month. We'll run the contest for 2 weeks. So it's not about how big the number is. It's just bottom line, who does the most. There's some great things we're going to do for you. But as you then, we're going to come back, we'll take a look at 30 days and then 60 days, and I think what people are going to see is that literally in a 60-day time frame, the movement, the success, and the momentum that you can put in a team is extraordinary, and by then all of BF Europe will be following that process, and it'll be fun to see.
Fully agree.
Okay? All right, guys, do you have any last questions, or you know what you're doing as you get ready to make your list? You feel good about it?
Definitely.
Okay. All right, guys. Then get it out, start jotting it down, and you know, great session. Thanks for being here. A phenomenal effort. Make sure the next few days, make sure you get out and get all that stuff collected, so then we can verify those numbers, and we'll make sure to share them with everybody next Monday. But start making that list. I'll get stuff to JC. He'll help you get the criteria. He'll get it to you this evening. Start getting it rated, and then starting tomorrow, you're starting to dig in, or even starting tonight. Bottom line, there's no time too soon to start changing the future forever. So, all right, guys.
Excellent.
All right, gang. Thanks so much. Take care.
Appreciate
Talk to you
it.
next Monday.
Good
All right.
job. Thanks.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good job.
Yeah.
Love it.